Hello everyone, my name is Jeremy Walsh. I am the Director of Support for BNI Connect here in Rhode Island in the United States. Today's webinar is the Updating Your Member Profile, which is we're going to go through a lot of the basics of how to fill out your profile completely. Filling out your profile has a lot of benefits, most importantly for VCP, visibility plus credibility plus profitability. Today's webinar is being recorded. It will be made available at a later time along with some other previously recorded webinars on the support website. I'll show you where to find that just a little bit later in the webinar. The way the webinar works is if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to, if you're using a computer that has a microphone or if you happen to be also dialed in on the telephone, just raise your hand. There's a little button that allows you to raise your hand, and I'd be happy to unmute your microphone and allow you to ask your question out loud. Otherwise, there's also a question interface. There's a chat/question interface that you can utilize to ask any questions that you'd like. They can, if they're pertaining to the topic that we're discussing at the time, I'd be happy to answer them as we're going through. Alternatively, if you have any questions on the system whatsoever, we should have some time towards the end of this webinar to answer any questions about BNI Connect that you have. So happy to help out in any way. But let's get started. So what's the why behind really filling out your member profile and the reasons behind it? And the biggest why is really for that visibility and credibility. On the inside of BNI Connect, you can be seen by members from around the world, people connecting with you. We can do basically kind of one-to-ones, if you will, through the groups interface and have discussions. But also, what you may or may not be aware of is that everybody gets a page on your regional website that is open to the public, that people can see out there. Let me give you an example of that. If I go, as I said, I'm in Rhode Island, so if I go to bniri.com and I go to the Find a Member function and I look for myself on here, or if somebody from the general public was looking to get in touch with me, or somebody from out there in the world is looking for a referral to somebody in my business, they can find me, they can even Google me, and they may get this page, which is my personal page within my region. Now you can see here that has a bunch of information on here. Now what happened to me a couple of weeks ago is I was sitting here in my office and a client of mine, an existing client, walked in and said, I need a referral. I said, awesome. How often does that happen? It just falls right in my lap, and it was great. I said, sure, I'd be happy to help you out. And he said, well, I'm looking for a bookkeeper. Somebody's really good with QuickBooks. I have an internal office person, but she needs a little help. She needs to be taught how to do some classifications or something in QuickBooks. Can you refer me to somebody? I said, absolutely. I have somebody in my chapter. So I went to bniri.com. I went to Find a Member. His name is Glenn Zabolis. So I looked him up here on BNI Connect. Here he is. And here's what I got. Now, what I wanted to be able to do was to be able to print out this page. Unfortunately, I had left my business card binder on the front seat of my car, and I was up in my office. So I didn't have his card handy, unfortunately. And I wanted to just print out this page and give it to him. And it has this picture on here. It has no contact information. It doesn't have much about his business or any real additional information. So I couldn't really use this. I ended up having to look up his phone number and write it on a little yellow sticky note. Alternatively, if the same thing had happened to hopefully Glenn to get me a referral, and he would have looked me up here on my regional website to print it out, he would have had this information. He would have had more about my business, what good referrals for me, top products and problems solved, all of my social media networking links so he could connect with me online, my phone number, my mobile phone number, my website address, my physical address. So all this additional information that can really almost help along that relationship before it's even begun. Even more information than I could possibly put on a business card. So today, what I'm going to show you is where do we find all this stuff? Where are we going to put this information out? And this is just the information that's available to the public. There's even more information that's available when you're connecting with another BNI member on the inside of the system. So the first thing that you do is once you log into BNI Connect, you're going to be brought to this page. And we call this the landing page. So these are just some common functions that you might be doing, working with connections and groups and documents and testimonials and events. But what we're going to talk about today is how to update all that information to really help to increase your VCP in BNI and in BNI Connect. The place that you're going to find all that stuff is right here by clicking on the My Account button in the upper right-hand corner. So if I click on the My Account button, this is going to bring us to all of the settings for My Account. And once we get there, you'll notice that it's broken down into a number of different tabs. So now that we're in this My Account screen, there's these tabs that are along the top. Each has a little bit different information on it. We have the main profile tab. We have the user profile tab. We have the contact details tab. We have the account settings tab. We have the bio tab. And we have the training history tab. Some of the stuff on here you can modify. Some of the stuff on here you can't. But let's go through and start looking at some of the things that you can and can't modify within this particular function. This first tab, which is the main profile tab, is basically your name and company name information. So you can change your title. If there's a spelling correction that needs to be done in your name, you can do that stuff as well as with your company name. For example, I switched from an LLC to an INC recently, so I was able to change that. This field right here, VAT reference number. If you are in the United States, you can safely ignore this field. VAT stands for value added tax, which is kind of like a sales tax that a lot of other, especially European countries use, that they might want to put in here as a reference for their business, but we can safely ignore that field for now in the United States. This stuff here, this is how you've been categorized based on what you put on your application. This stuff, if you do need to change it, your industry or your classification, if you're looking at it and you say, yeah, that's not really what I do, please contact your regional office, your director consultant for your chapter, or your regional administrative staff. Give them a call. They'd be happy to work with you to kind of pick what's best out of what's available in the system, and if it's not available, then they can send in a request to have it added into the system. It'll tell you what chapter you're a part of, your membership status. Again, that's for information purposes. Hopefully that's correct. The next part is the My Business, and what the My Business is really an elevator pitch, if you will. If you've ever been to a networking event, how you can very quickly or during open networking at one of your meetings when you're approached by a visitor, what's that 30-second introductory speech that you give about your business? How would you describe your business? This one is a really important one to fill out, and the reason for that is this is also what shows up here on your regional website and on your personal member page. So you can see that it has, My Business right here. One thing to keep in mind is that these changes are immediate. When you make a change, so let's say that I wanted to make a change here, and I'm just going to type test, 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 and click Update. As soon as I refresh this page, or as soon as somebody goes to that page after I hit save, you can see that the text in this has already changed. So you don't have to wait on anything. You don't have to publish anything. It happens automatically. It's pulling it directly from the inside of the system to show everybody on the outside. Now if I go back, and let's say that I just want to put that back to what it was, and click Update, and we refresh this, we can see that this has changed back to what it was. So keep that in mind as you're updating any of the things that we're going to go through, that as soon as you hit save, that will be updated for all the world to see. Which brings up another good point. If you are into search engine optimization and analytics and things like that with websites, one of the ways that you can improve your searchability is by making sure that you're using keywords in a lot of these descriptions. And the more you go in and keep that updated and keep it active, the better that you'll do in the especially Google search engine results. The next field on here is the keywords. Now, keywords are self-defined, meaning that you get to choose what keywords you want associated with your profile. And these are pretty important as well. So you want to go through and fill these out as completely as possible. Think about what words you associate with your business and make sure that you put them in here as comma-separated entries. Now, where these come into play are really two places in the system. If we go back to my regional website here, and I go back to find a member, a lot of people are going to be searching based on keywords. So they may not know your name, they may not know your company name, they just know that they're looking for a plumber, or they're looking for somebody to help with their computer, or somebody to help with their landscaping, whatever else it might be. So try to take a step backwards and think about how people might look for you. It might be a great topic of conversation for a one-to-one as well. If you're having a one-to-one with one of your fellow members, say, hey, listen, if you were looking for me as a referral online, what words would you use to look for me? And what we'll see is that one of my keywords is computer support. And if I click find, we will see that there are 3 people that are using these keywords in their profile. Now, I know for a fact that there are way more than 3 computer guys in the 60 or so chapters that are in my particular region. What that means is that all the rest of them haven't really taken the time to go through and fill out their keywords. And let me show you an example of using a keyword versus a category. So if I just go back a page here, I'm going to take out the keyword, and I'm going to choose profession here instead. I'm going to use the drop down of computer and click find, and we can see now that we have quite a few people in the computer, 68 of them altogether, that are in the computer-related industries. And I can further filter this by maybe doing support or repair, and we can start to see the ways in which your keywords can really help you to get found. To be honest, more people when they're going to this and doing a search are going to search by keywords that they choose. So choose carefully when you're filling out your keywords. The second place where keywords come into play is very similar to the regional search. If you're searching for people on the inside of BNI Connect, when you want to connect with other people around the world, the way to do that is by using this magnifying glass up here in the upper right-hand corner. And when we go to this function, people are going to many times be searching by keyword. So it will again search, and if I put in computer support, it's going to search the United States for anybody that has the keyword computer support. And we can see that it's pulled up a list of 64 entries. Now this is across the United States. So anybody that's looking to connect with computer support people around the United States is only going to find 64 entries. And I'm pretty sure that there's more than 64 people in the United States that are doing computer support. So get ahead of the curve and make sure that you fill out some good keywords in your profile. If we have any questions, again, please feel free to ask questions as we're going along. Just a reminder that you can use the chat/questions interface, or if you do have a question and you have a microphone, just raise your hand and I'd be happy to answer them as we're going through. The next tab that's on the profile here is the User Profile tab. And this is the place where you can customize your actual user account. You can change your username. You can choose anything you'd like as a username. You can choose special characters. I highly recommend that you omit having any spaces in it. I also recommend that you use something other than your email address. Email addresses do happen to change when people change companies or you change internet providers. So using something other than your email address is recommended, though if you'd like to, you can use that. But you can change it as long as it's not taken by somebody else in the organization. You are welcome to use that. You can also change your password. So if you'd like to choose a new password, please go ahead and change that as well. The second thing is your memorable question and answer. And what this is if you ever forget your password, you do have an opportunity to reset it. And let me show you real quick where that is. Now, I'm going to switch over to another window here. And this is the login screen for BNI Connect. Now, if you forget your username and password, what you do is you click on this Lost Password link. And if you click on Lost Password, it'll ask you what your email address is. And if I put my email address in, and then I tab or click into the answer field, it will bring up my memorable question. For that, if I put in the correct answer and click Submit, it will send me an email with a new password. Now, it's a really long and complicated password because of international security reasons. So I recommend going right back in and changing it. But this is the way to get your password if you've lost it. And let me switch back over to my other screen here. Choose something that you can remember. Also, the question, because it's just displaying it, you can put whatever you'd like in there, but the answer that you give is case, space, and symbol sensitive. So, if let's say that I put in a question of what is my home address, and whether I put in 1 here street, that is different than 1 here ST or ST period, or if I do that, or if I have the word 1 spelled out, or if I don't have a capital here. All of those are different answers. So make sure you have something that you can both remember the case and spacing of. One-word answers typically are easier to remember. The next thing you can do from here is you can update your language. BNI Connect is currently available in over 42 languages, including about 7 or 8 different versions of English. If you'd like to test out BNI Connect in another language, feel free to change your language and check it out. Or if you'd prefer to see things in another language, if your native language isn't English. You can also change your profile image and company logo from here. And from there, to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to click on the Change Profile Picture, or if you don't have one there, it will not show your picture, obviously. If you have one you'd like to change it, you can delete the picture from here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on the magnifying glass. What this does is it brings up a system dialog where you can go and find a picture. So from here, you just click on the photo that you'd like to use. It'll upload it, and then it'll allow you to crop it. So you can choose to change the dimensions of the picture. Let's say highlight different parts of it in order to get the right image that you're looking for. I'm not going to save this right now, but once you've made your changes and you've cropped your image, just click the Save button, and that will update your picture. I'm just going to click back for now because I do not want to save that information. I do have one question from Ellen. Ellen says, do you recommend using substitute as a keyword to alert fellow members that you're available to substitute? Ellen, that's a great question. That is completely up to you if you're going to do that. I would recommend, if you are going to do that, using both the words sub and the word substitute, if that is a common practice in your region. Personally, when I'm looking for a substitute, I tend to use my own clients and my own employees and resources that might be able to give a great testimonial for me, but there are some regions I do know that use keywords in order to find substitutes. So again, talk to your regional office. Some regional offices have also set up a separate means of doing that, or a separate database that they keep for tracking substitutes and who's available to substitute. So hopefully that answers your question, Alan. Okay, so that's the user profile tab. The next tab over is all of your contact details. So this allows for you to put in a whole bunch of phone numbers, your phone number, your direct phone number, home phone number, mobile phone number, pager number, voicemail, toll-free number, and fax number, carrier pigeon number, smoke signal number, all of those different phone numbers you can put in here. A couple of things to keep in mind. You can use the dashes as formatting numbers. If you have an extension on your number, you can use that too. The way to do that is to make sure that there is a space after the final digit, and then you can either just put in the extension, or you can put in an X with an extension in there, and it will accept that. If you have too many spaces or other characters, tends to kick that back with an error. Your email address, obviously you can change your email address in here if you'd like to. Note that this is the primary email address that any communications are going to go through. There are a couple of places that you should know about. So when your regional office sends any communications your way, reminding you about events or tips and tricks or other things going on in your region, this is the email address that it will go to. You can choose to have this email address displayed on the inside of BNI Connect, but we will never, ever, ever show your email address on the outside of BNI Connect. Now, people can still email you from the outside of BNI Connect. So this is back to my member page, and you notice that there is a send message option here. If I click on send message, what this will bring up is a means for somebody out there to email me without ever showing my personal email address. We obviously don't want people just trolling the internet and spamming all of the BNI members around the world. So they will have to put in their email address, a subject line, a message, and this is a CAPTCHA, and what this is for is just to make sure that we don't have any robots, spam robots, or scripted attacks to email addresses. So this forces to make sure it's a human that's entering this. So you can feel safe in allowing people to send you messages from the internet. We will not display your email address. It will be kept private. Now your website, again, this is something that will show up here on the public side. So your website here. One thing to keep in mind with this one is make sure that it has that http:// in front of it. If it's not there, please put it in. Sometimes when that isn't there, this link won't work correctly. It'll bring it to a different place, but it's a good idea to have your email address in there. You can put a number of different social networking links in there, Facebook or LinkedIn, Twitter, Zing, Ning, eAcademy, blogs, Plaxo, YouTube, iGoogle, Flickr, and Picasa. Pinterest may be added in the near future as well. So to find out where those various links are, just go to the various sites and it will show you your shortcut to your profile on there. You can just copy, let's say that I wanted to add in an eAcademy one. You would choose it from the drop-down, choose Add. What I recommend doing is going to that other site and just copying and pasting the address bar right down into here. Now the next two sections, we have the address line and the billing line. Please be sure to fill these out with your address and your billing address. Now the difference between the two of these is that when your regional office needs to send out anything printed, it will use the billing address to do so, but we won't be showing your billing address anywhere in the public. And where this is a concern for some people is if you have a home office, or if you have you don't have an office at all, perhaps you do your business from the road. What I'd recommend is make sure that you have your physical address here in the billing office, but in the address line here, we can modify that a little bit to make sure that you keep your private information private if you'd like to. And the reason is that if I go back to the site here, it will display my address. Now, let's say that I have a home office. What I'd recommend doing in that case is in this first address line, what you can do is put something like private or by appointment only. And if you have one, or if you prefer, put a P.O. box in there instead. I'd recommend keeping your city and state in there and clicking on update. And what will happen is now on this site, it will give the private or by appointment only or whatever text that you'd like to put in there. However, it will remain accessible so that our regional office and other people can send us printed materials as necessary. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this information back so that I don't forget it for later and update that. And I actually do want people to find my public location, so now it's back to normal. All right, I'm going to skip a tab ahead here and go to the bio section. Now, the bio is broken down into 4 different sections, and this one may take you a little time to fill out, and I recommend that you take some time to fill it out completely and that you go back and you update this, just like with LinkedIn and Facebook and all of the other social media applications out there. It is important to keep this information updated and pertinent. So the bio part, if you've been to a member success program recently, this will be very familiar to you. It is the same exact questions that you get sent or asked by your secretary-treasurer before you do a 10-minute presentation. And to be honest, this is one of the reasons that it's in here, so that your secretary-treasurer can have access to your bio without having to hunt one down from you. So just your years in business, your previous types of jobs, your spouse, children, pets, your hobbies and interests, city of residence, years in that city, burning desire, something no one knows about you, and your key to success. The second 2 things are a couple of quick commercials. So these are the same sales manager minutes, 60-second presentations that you give at a chapter meeting. It's a great idea to keep a couple of these up on the website. Again, this is all about visibility, credibility, and profitability. People that may be from another chapter that are looking you up, they may never get a chance to hear your 60-second. Get a couple of good ones together, put them in here, and have them saved so that other people can learn more about you as well. Going back to the Member Success Program, we are reminded of the GAINS profile. Now, GAINS stands for goals, accomplishments, interests, networks, and skills. Where this is going to come into play is, again, if we go back to our Member Success Program, we're taught that we should do a GAINS exchange before we do any one-to-one. And the reason for that is it helps to break the ice. It brings up different points of conversation that we may not have thought of to talk of before. It also just gets some more information to the hands and the minds of the people that we're meeting with. Again, helps to increase that visibility, that credibility before you even sat down to talk. I don't know how many times I've gone hunting and searching for the form to fill out or gotten into the car and realized I didn't bring it with me. Now you can keep that information online and only update it as necessary. The final section is called the TOPS profile. TOPS profile consists of your ideal referral, your top product, your top problem solved, your favorite BNI story, and your ideal referral partner. Now, you may want to start with this one. I know that some of the information on here, this is a lot of stuff to fill out. may take you some time. You may want to start with the TOPS profile, and the reason for that goes back to this is the one that is on the public website. So on the public website, what we see here is your TOPS profile. So we have all our contact information, we have our social media links, we have our chapter information, we have the My Business, which remember that is from the first tab of your profile, and then we have our TOPS profile. And finally, the Account Settings tab. Now on the Account Settings tab is where you make your choices for preferences, how you want to share your information really with other people within and on the outside of BNI. This first section has to do with the stuff that's on your member-to-member profile. Now if you're not sure what that looks like, there's a little button down here, a link down at the bottom of the screen that says Profile. I'm going to right-click that and choose Open a New Tab so I don't lose my place there on the first one. And this is my profile as other people would see it when they search for me. Now this is assuming, of course, I can see all the information about myself, but this is all of the information that's possible to be seen. So it has my name, my industry, my business, my keywords, company, all of that information. It has my bio, commercials, gains, tops, my connections, all of the people that I'm connected to inside BNI Connect. It has testimonials that other people have given to me. It has a photo sharing library. Any groups that I've created or that I'm a part of. And my training history. Now you can choose what of this information, which pieces of this information that you want to share with other people on the inside of BNI Connect, again, when they use that magnifying glass and try to find you. So you can choose to share your connections, your testimonials, picture gallery, etc., with either everybody. So everybody, regardless of whether they're connected to you, can see that information about you. Obviously, that's my setting. I'd like everybody to be able to get in touch with me that would like to. If you'd like to be a little bit more private, you can choose which of these things you'd like to share with only your connections. So once they've found you in BNI Connect and they've established a connection, a relationship with you, you can share a little bit more information with them. And then finally, you can choose to share some or all of this information with nobody. So that's the inside of the system. Now looking at the outside of the system, so the BNI public websites, again, this is this profile here. So if you would like to not be seen, you just want to be invisible completely on the public website, you can uncheck this box. Now if I uncheck this box, this means people can't even find me. So I'm going to uncheck that and click Update. And if I go back to find a member here and I go and I search for myself, I don't even show up in the list anymore. So I am completely invisible on the outside part of the network. Let me go and switch that back. I do want to be found. And the second thing is allow people to email me from the public website. Now if I uncheck this, what that does is, if you remember the button that I showed you before, and let me find myself again. And that button that had right now, I don't have a button that says send message. So people won't be able to email me from the public website. If I check that back off, the send message link comes back. Now the second, this third portion of it is group post email notifications. BNI Connect has a social media interface similar to LinkedIn and Facebook and a lot of the other places out there that allow us to have conversations one-to-ones, discussions with people, BNI members from around the world. You have a couple of choices on how you'd like to be notified when those conversations have changed. You can be notified every time a new post is added. This is my personal recommendation. If I'm a part of a group, or especially if I create a group and I'm leading a group discussion, I want to be notified as soon as somebody makes a comment in that so that I can keep that conversation going. If that's a little bit too much for you, you can choose once per day. So for each group that you're a part of that has activity, you will get an email that lets you know what's being said and who said it. If that's still too much, you can go down to once per week. So once a week. It usually happens on Sunday in Greenwich Mean Time, so about midnight Greenwich Mean Time on Sunday, and this email goes out as a weekly digest. And then finally, you can opt out of these notifications completely by choosing Do Not Email Me. This next part right here, some of my group notifications using this country's email template. Most of us can ignore that. And this really only is a case for people that might be a national director of multiple countries at the same time that would like to use one country or language over another. But most of us don't really have any choice here. It's probably just going to say default and possibly United States or whatever country that you happen to be in. Email forwarding. Now this part, if you'd like to receive these notifications, including the group notifications and the other notifications that we're going to talk about in a second, to an email address other than the one that's in your profile. So again, going back to this contact details page, by default, it is going to go to this email address that's listed here. If you would like to have those emails go to someplace else, you can type that in here. If it's going to go to the same place, you don't have to type anything in here at all. And you can choose which of the notification messages you'd like forwarded to this email address. So BNI Connect messages that I receive to my email address, there is an internal messaging system, an in-mail system that allows connections to internally email each other. If you'd like those to be forwarded to your email address, you can choose to do so. You can also receive a copy of your sent items that you send out using the in-mail system to go to your email address. Connection requests, if somebody finds you in BNI Connect and would like to connect with you, you can get that notification sent to your email address or alternate email address. You can get copies of recommendation or testimonial requests also sent to your email. Now, opt out of optional emails. What that is when regional offices are sending out notifications about events and reminders and things like that. They have the ability to label it as an optional email. You can choose to opt out of those optional emails. Now the final tab on here is the training history tab. If there is anything in here that is incorrect or if you're missing anything, this isn't something that you can update directly, but it is something that you can talk to your regional office and they'd be happy to help you out to make sure that that is up to date and correct. So that covers the various tabs on how to fill out your information on here, and I would recommend that you go in and you fill that information out at your earliest convenience. Do we have any questions so far on any of this information? Okay, there's a couple other little tips and tricks that I'd like to show you while we happen to be here, and that is one of the things that I always found challenging, and I'm still a member. I've been a member of BNI for coming up on 11 years now, but I always found it really hard to keep in touch with my chapter. And just trying to email all the members of my chapter was always kind of, all right, let me dig through my inbox and try to find the last person that sent an email to the group, and just hope that everybody's in there. And as your group grows bigger and bigger, it's harder to keep track of all of the current members of your chapter. Now there's an easy way to stay in touch with your chapter. If you go to Operations, Chapter, and go to Create Email, there's two things under here that I'd really like to show you. The first of which is Email My Chapter. And let me go to my test country here so that I don't violate anybody's privacy. And if I click on Email My Chapter, what this is going to do is bring up an email list of all of the current members in my chapter, so that when I go to email somebody, I can start an email in Outlook or Gmail or whatever email program you use, come here, highlight everything, and just copy them all, right-click and choose Copy, and then paste that into a new email. Now, the second thing I'd like to show you under this is a lot of us have a hard time inviting visitors, and there's a really easy way to invite a visitor to your chapter right through this system. If you go to Create Email and click on Email Visitor Invitation, this will allow you to very quickly go in and invite a chapter. Now I'm going to show you guys exactly what this looks like. I'm going to invite myself to this chapter in Antarctica. And if I put in a little personal message, it was great meeting you at the chamber. Hope to see you at my BNI meeting. What this is going to do is once I click send, this email goes out immediately, and the recipient is going to receive something like this. Let me show you what this looks like. They're going to receive an email that looks like this. A nice BNI graphic here. It has who it was sent to. Here's my personal message. It has the name of the chapter, where it's located, what day and what time you guys meet. So you don't have to keep typing this stuff over and over and over again. There's a nice template that does this all for you automatically. And it's signed by you and your company. So let me get back over to this, to my other screen here. And the final thing that I wanted to show you today was we talked about doing the gains exchange and how do we get that information now across beforehand. So now that you've filled out your gains profile and you want to do that gains exchange before a one-to-one, how do you do that? Well, the way to do that is to pull up the report. And if you go to Reports chapter, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of reports in here having to do with everything to do with your chapter. Now, I do have a webinar that's dedicated entirely to going through these reports and showing you what they all do and what they all mean. But the report that I wanted to show you specifically dealing with today is if you go to Reports Chapter and then Member Details. Now I'm going to switch back to the United States here and back to myself, my own personal chapter and region here. And I am in Rhode Island and the Wakefield chapter. And let's say that somebody is going to be doing a one-to-one with me. What they could do is go into BNI Connect, go to Member Details, and click on View Member Gains. Once I go here, they have all of the chapter members listed. And I'm going to click on myself because I know that my gains is filled out. And I click on Go. And now from here, you could very easily get that gains information and do the gains exchange before your one-to-one. In addition, let's say that you wanted to get this information to the other person. You could always export this or print it and email or send it over to the other person beforehand. Now, right from here, we can also look at somebody's bio. We can look at their tops, and we can look at commercials. So that's a great way there to get more information, build that visibility and credibility before you do a one-to-one with somebody, and to make sure that information is out there for both other BNI members and for the general public to see. So that concludes the information that I have to cover today. If we have any questions, I'd be happy to field those questions now. And while you guys are typing in your questions, let me just ask you a few other favors here. And the first one is, if you could, please go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. This is our Facebook page. If you could give us a like, that would be much appreciated. And we do have webinar announcements and tips and tricks and all sorts of other things up here. So if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, if you liked today's webinar, please drop us a comment and let us know about it. Or if you'd like a specific topic covered in the future, we'd love to hear about it. And then secondly, if you ever run into trouble in BNI Connect, there's a couple of ways that you can get support. Obviously, your regional office, your director consultants, they're always there to help. You can also, if you're in BNI Connect, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little question mark button. Click on the question mark button. And once you get there, you're going to get to the support page. On the support page, we have a whole bunch of useful information, including a list of all the upcoming webinars. If you scroll down a little further, we have places where you can put in suggestions and enhancement requests if you have a great idea on how to make BNI Connect better. We also have a ton of training material up there. For example, under trainings, if you go to webinars and member webinars, we have a number of webinars shared of previous recordings, and you can watch them right from that screen, or you can link to them directly on YouTube. So please let your chapter members know about this. We also have a number of self-help. So if you don't remember how to email your chapter after today's webinar, you can always go to the training section. And right here we have a number of different walkthroughs. So this one is exactly how to email your chapter, and it gives you a walkthrough step-by-step how to do that. And of course, if you can't find the answer to your question, if you need a little bit more personal assistance, just click on Submit a Request, enter your email and your name and your description and your question, and we would be happy to answer your question. You can even attach files, or if it's a problem within the system, you can grab a screencast. So I don't see any additional questions. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today for this webinar. Remember to turn in a CEU slip if your chapter is recording chapter education units. Thank you for your time. Please tell your other chapter members about these webinars. We'd love to have more people involved. Thank you, everyone, and happy connecting.